Kaiju number 9 just wrecked the entire defense force, attaining a fortitude level far surpassing Kafka's. Using this, he was able to tank Isao's strongest attack despite harnessing the full power of number 2. This led to number 9 absorbing the commander, thus becoming even more powerful than he was before, to the point that he's able to take on Kafka and Narumi at the same time, both being two of the strongest characters in the story. It is unquestionable that number 9 is now the most powerful entity in this universe, but why? Well, it all goes back to an ancient being known as the Meireki Kaiju.
Last time I was helpless, but not now. I see right through you. Kaiju number 8.
You see, number 9 was once a normal kaiju that happened to gain intelligence. He hid himself away from humans and lived a quiet life. That is until he discovered that he was superior to humans in power, which awakened a lust for knowledge within him. He wanted to test his limits and learn more of the secrets held within the human world, and that thirst for knowledge led him to the Meireki Kaiju, an ancient being that surfaced over 400 years ago, that which is responsible for the emergence of the kaijus. However, this wasn't a friendly encounter, as the being tried to absorb number 9 and succeeded in doing so. Now, what's interesting about this is that number 9 was able to retain control of his body, which he attributes to the equilibrium created by the two cores, thus the re-emergence of the beast when his core was destroyed. The being displayed unimaginable power, surpassing that of number 9 himself, threatening the continued existence of human civilization. That is the power number 9 had stored deep within him, but how much of it was he able to tap into? Well, number 9 was introduced in chapter 6 of the manga, displaying the power to fire invisible energy waves in quick succession. This allowed him to bypass Kikaru's suit despite diverting her shield energy to a single spot. He was able to revive dead kaijus of any kind and regenerate severed limbs and organs, which he later come to find out is the ability of the Meireki Kaiju. That alone made him a great threat to the defense force because everything they've accomplished can be undone within a split second. But the saving grace was that number 9 hadn't reached his full potential. He needed to evolve. This took place after number 9 took the form of a human using his shape-shifting ability and infiltrated the cleanup crew. He was able to block all communication using his ability to create an undetectable pocket of space that no one can leave or enter without his permission, which he then used to decimate the defense force within that area. He's also able to defend himself by summoning dead corpses of other kaiju, which is strong enough to block the maximum release force of Ichikawa. This then led to Kafka reluctantly transforming into Kaiju number 8, which gave him the power to defeat him. Though of course the story must go on, so while Kafka was distracted, he was able to escape using some sort of ability to dissolve his body. This defeat is what shifted his goal from simply gathering knowledge, but to also killing Kaiju number 8 since he was a clear threat to his plan to subjugate the humans. We later see that he was able to shed his current skin, evolving into a far stronger form. He adapted. He didn't just grow in power but also intelligence, finding ways to counter the powers of the defense force members. We first saw this in chapter 42 when he attacked using a swarm of ant-type kaiju. This is when he displayed his ability to create clones of himself that were able to merge with other kaiju, which allowed him to divide their forces, but not so much conquer them. You see, number 9 had us fooled the entire time. He was absolutely washed by Kafka to the point that he was begging his clone, who he refers to as Beta, to merge with him. This led us to believe that this was the end for number 9, but he also didn't seem too concerned. In fact, he said he was learning. He wanted to experience the full power of Narumi and find ways to counter it. One such case is him finding out that his blades cut and sears at the same time, so it's going to take time to regenerate. He has to gain distance and shoot him from afar. This then led to Narumi revealing his custom weapon, which is how number 9 found out that he isn't just great at short range combat, but also long range as well. That's when he said, "I've learned." He adapted once again. As pointed out by the commander, as it engages with humans, it keeps learning and changing in response. Kaiju number 9 operates like a virus. This revelation then forced Narumi to use his other custom weapon, that being the eyes imbued by the power of number 1. This allowed him to use its ability known as future sight, which then visualizes the signals emitted from a life form's brain that initiate physical activity. That then allowed him to predict a life form's actions before its body even moves. It also allows him to find the core of a kaiju, because all its signals route back to that singular point. This allowed Narumi to instantly one-shot number 9, leading to his demise. Or so we thought. You see, Narumi wasn't buying it. He felt it was way too easy, and given number 9's stated goal of taking the power of a great kaiju, something just felt off. His suspicions were then proven valid when number 9 reappeared behind Commander Isao, revealing that his goal is to take the power of Kaiju number 2. This kaiju was so powerful, by the way, that it was known as the DAIKAIJU of Destruction, easily capable of leveling entire cities. Its energy attacks also emitted electromagnetic waves, thus enhancing the range of its abilities, and can also be used as a shield. All of this was passed down to Isao with his numbered weapon, which allowed him to fight on par with a suppressed number 8. Now the crazy thing about this is that it wasn't even his full power. You see, due to his old feeble state, he isn't able to draw out the true power of number 2 without significantly reducing his life force and tearing his body apart. But due to the threat posed by number 9, he had no other choice. You see, number 9 revealed his new evolved form to Isao and claimed that he didn't expect his clones to be taken out so quickly, because they were supposed to be as strong as he was before he evolved. This means that those clones were not on the level of the current version of number 9 himself, which is why his power surpassed what they thought was possible, being able to easily overpower Isao when they clashed, eclipsing his recorded fortitude level of 8.5. He's way beyond that at this point in time, even surpassing his own estimates. This forced Isao to tap into the full power of number 2 for one last go, releasing energy attacks on par with number 2 himself, completely decimating number 9's body, exposing his core. But as I said, number 9 is constantly adapting, so he's prepared for something like this happening. He was able to mold his body to totally focusing on defense, and even after Isao landed a second blast, he was still able to survive. He was then able to absorb Isao and number 2, thus evolving once again, transforming into a massive kaiju with a form modeled from the characteristics of number 2. This allowed him to gain abnormal defensive abilities, thus being totally unaffected by Narumi's full power, even tanking multiple attacks from Kafka with no trouble at all. Now with that said, he did have a major problem, which is that when newly merging with another subject, there is a rejection period where he can't truly access his full power, which allowed them to severely damage him. Though he was able to detonate a massive electromagnetic wave attack and distracted them, which gave him enough time to escape. He later returned in chapter 97 with an army of giant kaijus with fortitude levels of 8 and higher. These kaijus didn't possess a brain of their own, instead they received signals from an outside source, essentially killing machines manipulated by number 9 himself. This time it was also far smarter than before, because he did his research on all the top Defense Force members and also watched the battles they had with other numbered kaijus. He used this to figure out Mina's weakness, realized that she's only formidable at long distances, so attacking her at close range rendered her power useless, which allowed him to partially devour her. That is when we got our first look at what's inside number 9, a vast collection of kaiju. It also had the bodies and souls of everyone he ever devoured, all stored inside him. It was like an alternate space that he himself wasn't in control of, but instead a domain filled with hundreds of kaiju. Now Kafka was able to make it in time to save Mina, and that's because of a slight miscalculation of number 9. He didn't think there was anyone capable of wielding the kaiju weapon of number 6, but Ichikawa was. This allowed him to take on the kaiju sent to distract Kafka, which enabled him to get there on time. Even so, number 9 wasn't worried, because he was that much more powerful. A single clash with Kafka destroyed the hands of number 8, while number 9 suffered 0 damages. His defense was so insane that he was able to tank multiple hits from Kafka without taking any damage whatsoever, despite the use of his new technique. What's even crazier is that he now knows how to fight as well. After absorbing Isao, he gained access to his memories, which allowed him to use his techniques and abilities. Using this, he was able to predict all of Kafka's movements since he himself was trained by Isao. And since number 9 is superior in strength, his troop-style combat speed surpassed his as well. Now the thing is, Kafka saw this coming, which is why Oshina taught him how to merge his fighting style with Isao's, thus creating something new. This allowed him to get a clean hit on number 9, thus bypassing his defenses and exposing his core. Though of course, number 9 prepared for this by shielding his core using the power of number 2. He then proceeded to decimate number 8 effortlessly while also giving us some insight on his thought process. It's revealed to us that he enjoys getting to know humans. The more he learns, the more he grows. He believes that humans compensate for their weakness with intellect and rule with tools and laws. They give themselves up for other people and share with those weaker than them, even though they have nothing to gain. It all simply doesn't make sense to him, which is why he wants to know. He wants to know everything, and he'll do anything to acquire that knowledge. That is when he summoned the full power of number 2, which resulted in its head emerging from its body. Its power was so overwhelming that Kafka likened it to going head to head with number 9 and number 2 at the same time. Now Kafka was somehow able to stay in this fight, but the problem was that number 9 continued to adapt on the fly. No matter what he did, number 9 continued to learn, even begging him to show him more. He was then able to overpower Kafka, even exposing his core and grabbing onto it. He was only saved by Mina, coming in at the last moment, blasting away his hand. Kafka was then able to control his berserk state, which dramatically increased his power output. Using this, he was able to go toe-to-toe with number 9, and with the help of Mina and Isao from the inside, he was able to shatter his core, thus destroying him. Now the crazy part about this is that number 9 wasn't even upset by this. He was almost gleeful at the fact that these humans were once again able to surpass his expectations. But as I mentioned, there is something more sinister lurking within number 9 that he knew would be unleashed the moment his core was destroyed. And even though he didn't want things to come to this, he enjoyed himself and was satisfied. That is the story of Kaiju number 9, a being cursed with a hunger for knowledge. He believed that he was superior to humans, but also found them fascinating. He couldn't understand why they behaved the way that they did, because he simply wasn't like them. With that said, that is it for the video. If you guys liked it and want to see more videos from this series, let me know in the comment section and I will continue to make them. But yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Peace.